Well, it started out, I guess, to recognize African American comedians.
A lot of black artists weren't being given their props, we felt. And it was time for black artists to be given their props.
It's the fact that they never had an award show for comedians. And that's why the Ahas back then and now was so unique, because it's one of a kind. You have, gospel award shows, you have the Grammys, you got the Oscars. Nobody except Sir ever thought about having an award show for comedians. So he did it.
But as Frank always says, laughter has no color. So he encompassed all minorities, all cultures, so that people who were unrecognized, the unsung heroes, so to speak, of comedy, is what he was trying to capture in the beginning.
Say more than say me. I found Jesus when they cut the umbilical cord. She was cute.
I think it was in 1993 when I first got involved with Sir Frank Cooper and the Ahas.
I didn't meet Frank until at the end of 2007. And that was because I moved to Vegas to do radio. So all of a sudden I go to work one day and they let me know there's a new show coming. I'm sitting there, at the controls just waiting. And all of a sudden this huge hunk of a man walks through the door, black man. I'm like, okay.
Very vivacious. A character that walks in the room and he's there. He just kind of takes over the room.
It goes down easy.
When people see passion, that's inspiring.
The Ahas. Creation out of my heart, hard work, and a whole lot of love making. But it was worth it. All my heroes. My name is Sir Frank Cooper. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama. My name came from my father. Back then, they refused to put my Sir first name on the birth certificate because back then, it was not really against the law, it was just racism, straight up racism. So Sir is the first name, and my father said the reason why he gave me that name is because he wanted people to respect me, whether they wanted to or not. Now, back in those days, a black man was never referred to as Sir simply because you were black. So they either called you boy, and if you were over 35 or 40, you were referred to as uncle. That's what white people used to do. So my father said your first name would be Sir, whether they like it or not. No, there was no show business. As a matter of fact, we lived across the road, a dirt road, among cornfields and cotton fields. Now, my father had a construction company. As a matter of fact, he was the only black construction company owner back in those days. We lived rough. We had a rough life because my father was also a heavy drinker, but he was one of those happy drinkers. Everybody he ran into, they were his friends, and he would always take care of his friends and ignore the family. But he made more money than any black person in town, but we lived among some of the poorest. And when I say poor, I'm talking wearing my sister's dresses to school, going to school with Mac shoes on, tying shoes together, putting cardboard in the bottom of your shoes, taking wire, wiring the top part of the shoe to the sole of the shoe so it wouldn't come apart. So growing up from that, I went to school. All my formative years took place in a place called Austell, and it was at South Cobb High. And I knew that I wanted to get into show business. So I was a clothesaholic because my sisters were seamstress as well as my stepmother. She used to make my sister's dresses out of meal sacks. And these were croaker sacks that meal came in and corn came in. So as I got older, I got into fashion. I started looking at clothes, paying attention to clothes and how men dressed and all that. So I started patterning myself after a lot of movie stars on TV, like Clark Gable, people such as that. You see them in movies and the way they were dressed, the way they carried themselves, the way the clothes fit. And I became obsessed with that. Things started coming together. I started making a little money modeling. And then I got to the point where I started producing fashion shows throughout the metropolitan Atlanta area. And that's when I started gigoloing.
He has a lot of life experience, to put it mildly.
Gigoloing is a man that is skilled at convincing women to give him what they want, be it sex or money. But you reverse the situation and you put women in empowering situations to where that they become the Johns or the Marys because they pay you for sexual favors. But I got started, I knew women because, like I said, I used to hang around my sisters a lot. And my first sexual encounter came when I was very young. I forgot how old I was, but I was very young. And it came from a lady that used to live beside us when I was in Alabama. So I had to be about 8, maybe 9 years old. We had a neighbor. We lived in a shotgun house. Now, a shotgun house is a house that's got 2 sides to it. It's like a long hallway. And in the middle of that hallway is a wall that runs between the 2 sides of the house. One side of the house belongs to one person, this side over here. But it's a straight through house. There are no room dividers, no nothing, just straight through, okay? And we had an outhouse. And whenever you took a bath, you had to draw the water from the well, put it in a bucket, take it into the house, and put it in this great big old tin tub, metal tub. Okay, that's if you heat the water outside in a great big old black pot. Well, whenever this woman got ready to take a bath, I used to peep at her. Now the walls were very thin, there were cracks in the walls and all that. So one day she's getting ready to take a bath, and I'm peeping on the side of the house, and I'm looking at this woman, and I'm lusting. And I make a move, and as she's bathing, she saw me. And she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Nothing." And she said, "Yes, you are. You peeping at me. Come in here." So I went into her room. "Yes, ma'am." I went in there, and she said, "What were you looking at?" I said, Nothing. She said, "Well, I want you to wash my back." And Lord, I started washing this woman back. And every time this woman took a bath, I was right there with the bath water and the rags ready to wash this woman's back. And that's really how I became familiar with the female anatomy and learning women and learning things about women, because this woman was about 20, maybe 21 years old. And I lost my virginity to that particular woman. And it just took off from there. And I used those skills later on to hone my craft when it came to gigoloing. So I've always looked at women as being powerful. And I said, well, if men can go out and buy sex, why can't women? So I became for sale. And that's when my whole life changed. I started making a hell of a lot of money. Phil Donahue, when I went on his show talking about my life as a gigolo, me and Phil Donahue together from 30 years ago. I left Atlanta because I was still in love with my ex-wife. So I decided, in order for me to get this woman out of my system, I got to leave. Now, I was already into the entertainment business, modeling. But I knew that there was no entertainment in Atlanta at that particular time. Atlanta had not blown up. So I either had to go to New York or either I had to go to LA. So I decided to go to LA because either place, I didn't know anybody. And I was going to have to more than likely live on the street until I found a job. Now, I'm down in LA. I bought me a car, a Datsun B210. Drove down. I take the passenger seat out of the car, throw it away, and I put me a big foam mattress in that side of the car because I knew that was going to be my house until I found a job. So I would park my car in Beverly Hills because my father used to tell us all the time, if you want to be successful, hang around successful people. So I would park my car in Beverly Hills behind these big mansions where they kept their garbage cans. And when the garbage men would come in early in the morning, they'd make up so much noise with the truck, it'd wake you up. I'd get up, take the car to the park it there, leave it there, go into the bathroom there, the very same bathroom in Beverly Hills that George Michaels got caught doing the policeman. I used to go to that very same toilet and wash up, jump on the bus, and go look for a job. I'm on the bus, I'm going downtown, I'm going down Wilshire, and I see a sign in this window saying, help wanted. I jump off the bus, I run into this place where it happened to be Jacqueline European Health Spa on La Brea and Wilshire, okay? Jacqueline, first TV exercise guru. I go in, I say, sir, I'd like to apply for the job. I give him my resume. He looks at the resume and he goes, no. We don't need I don't need nobody with no higher education like this. I just need somebody that clean my toilets. I said, sir, I'm your man. He said, no. You don't want to do no work like that. Look at you. I mean, you're very articulate. I mean, you're a good looking guy. You should go and find something else. I said, sir, right now I'm living out of my car. I have no money coming in and I am not going back to Georgia broke. I promised everybody in Georgia the next time they see me, I'm going to be successful. I am not going back. Please give me this job. He said, you really want the job? I said, yeah. He said, okay, well, you'll be my cleaning man. So I started cleaning up the spa. As I'm cleaning up the spa, I did it for 3 days. 3 days. On the third day, he comes to me and he goes, oh my God, I got 25 people. This is when aerobics was just taking off. He said, I got 25, 30 people in this room and my aerobic instructor didn't show up to teach class. Can you dance? And I said, sir, how many black men you know can't dance? Damn right I can dance. He said, well, go in there, put on some records. The word records. There's a record player in there, go put on some records, find something you can dance to, and just work these women out for an hour. Just work them out for an hour. I don't care what you do, as long as you make them sweat 1 hour. I said, okay. I go in there, find some records. I said, okay, I'm your new aerobic instructor, teacher for the day. I put on some music, and we start jamming for 1 hour and a half, just partying. I turned it into a party, doing exercises that I learned from school, jumping jacks and all that old crazy stuff. But anyway, we had fun. So the next day, Mr. Lane come to me and he goes, the women don't want the old teacher. They want you to teach them. And I said, but I don't know anything about aerobics. He said, look, I tell you what, if I send you to school and get you certified, would you become my aerobic instructor? I said, absolutely. He said, in the meantime, you just keep doing what you're doing. But I want you to go to school and learn the craft. I took over the aerobic part and I turned the aerobic part of that particular building into Sir Frank Aerobics on Wilshire, okay?
You know, he has a creative mode and doesn't really like to be boxed in, you know, to any particular thing, you know, so it's kind of hard to label him, so to speak, because he has so many irons in the fire.
And this right here, these are the plaques that I've won. All these plaques is, this one was given to me, first black mayor of Los Angeles, Tom Bradley. Inglewood's mayor, Inglewood, California, given to me. Debbie Allen, Ron that played on the same doggone show, Different World, and Jasmine Guy. And they're all holding the first AHA award in their hand, the first trophy. And it's gonna be right here, okay? There's a friend of mine named Michael Williams that's opening this comedy club called the Comedy Act Theater, the first black comedy club in America. Now you had the Comedy Store in Hollywood and Sunset, but they only limited as to how many black people could come up there and perform at that particular time. So Michael started this club, so I started working for Michael. And we getting all kinds of raw talent, like a Martin Lawrence, a Jamie Foxx, the Wayans brothers and their sister, Robert Townsend, you name them, they were just starting out. So I got a chance to meet all these people. I'm sitting around with nothing to do and I'm thinking, damn it, there's never been an award show for black comedians. There's never been an award show for comedians, period. So I wrote it down and I said, okay, I should create the first award show for black comedians. I'm sitting around the house. Now I got some money. I saved up some money, made some pretty good money doing aerobics and all that stuff. So I said, okay, let me shop the idea. I shopped the idea around for Hollywood for 1 year, taking it to different producers and all that shit. And everybody was saying, great idea, but we don't think it'll work. Absolutely fantastic, but it won't work. So I said, okay, well, damn it, I know how to make money. And I said, I'll make the damn money, and I'll produce it my damn self. Yeah, we are headed to the house to pick up these AHA pictures, because I left them this morning.
Well, I was always interested in doing something in film or TV on the production level. I'm not sure just where I could fit in, but I wanted to do something more than just sit behind the table and answer the phone.
So when we met, I was telling her about the idea. So I told her I wanted to be called the Afro-American Humor Awards. So she wrote that down, and then she said, Frank, the beginning of each word actually spelled the word the AHAs. And I said, Trish, that's what we will call it. That will be the acronym for the African American Humor Awards, the AHAs. So she said, okay. So we wrote that down, and we started plotting, pulling this thing together.
That's awesome, because Black comedy has meant so much to Black history and helping our people get through the more difficult times and say things that was hard to say without having some laughter to it.
I think there's a culture divide. And as a consequence, Blacks weren't given the recognition that they were entitled to because of the culture, mindset, people's way of thinking. And as a result, a lot of Black artists were left out. And the AHAs, we don't want to focus on just Black comedy. Of course, we want to bring them forward. But there are a lot of minority comedians of many different racial backgrounds that are not given their props either. So our award show sought to bring them to the light.
But I want to thank everybody for this award. Thank you so much.
There were actors and actresses, such as LaWanda Page. A lot of people don't know it, but LaWanda Page used to be a dancer. She was a stripper back in the day. Good-looking stripper, beautiful legs, woman had a banging body. But everybody know her from Sanford and Son as being Lamont's aunt. Now, this woman looked nothing like that in person back in the day. She was a gorgeous Black woman. And when she received her award, she came up in tears and she told me, you know, young man, I don't know who you are, but I want to thank you and thank God for putting you on earth, because there are so many of us here that has never gotten recognized for nothing. Yeah, people see us on TV, and yes, we make good money, but we don't get the adulation that our white counterparts get. And I said, well, that's the reason why I created this thing. I will tell you guys, 30 years ago in Los Angeles, California, I created the AHAs simply because I got sick and tired of hearing Black performers whose shows had been on TV 3 and 4 years, whose movies was breaking records at the box office, whose stand-up comedy was selling out arenas before it became popular. And I constantly heard all these Black comedians talk about how disrespected the award shows were when they got overlooked. So I said, just like my father said, if you want something done, do it your damn self.
We have my man, George Wallace. How are you, sir?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Make some noise up in here. I feel good all over.
But, you know, the comedians like you have been so important, because even before the civil rights movement was really in full swing, there were things that we wanted to say that we couldn't say, and that comedians were saying those things. And you talk about like just that way that comedians were able to speak for Black people in a way that the most of us weren't able to really do.
Well, that's one great thing about the comedians, especially the comedians today, Chris Rock and even me. I don't do a PC show. Maybe it's my personality. I say exactly what the hell I want to say. Like I always say, there was a blind lady came to my show one night in Cleveland. She came in late, and I chewed her ass out. I said, look, what you coming in? You got somebody to lead and guide your ass around here. You walking here late. I said to the blind lady, look at all these other people in this room.
And I was thinking about a slogan for the Ahas. And I kept thinking about laughter and what laughter does and how laughter heals and how laughter can make people feel good and how laughter can be contagious and how laughter affects every human being on earth. So I came up with the phrase, laughter has no color, so smile. And it turned out well. 30 years ago, I created that. The colors that you see, they also represent different things. Red represents everything that runs through every living being's body, and that's blood. We all have that in common. The gold represents the minerals that come from Mother Earth, such as oil, gold, diamonds, rubies, pearls, natural minerals. The green represents Mother Nature, the trees, because we need the trees to breathe the oxygen. So all these colors represent something essential to every living human being. Hence, laughter has no color, so smile. It's the same damn thing. Chinese laugh and smile just like we do. Eskimos, the same damn thing. Every human being, we all got that in common. And this is a shirt that really represents the coming together of human beings.
My father taught us all to stand up, keep your back up, keep your head up straight, and when you talk to people, look them in the eye. So I went to several black comedians back in the day and I said, look, why don't we create our own? Everybody was down for that. Yeah, let's do this. Let's create our own thing. I said, okay, but you know it's going to take some money. And that's when they started doing the Michael Jackson moon backwalk. And I looked around and all of a sudden I was on this island all by myself. And I said, look like I'm going to have to do this myself.
So it took off from there.
The first award show Frank did do, and I believed in this award show. I believed that there was something that was wonderful about it, and so I put my all into it.
So keep them uplifted. I swear to God, if my stripper name wasn't Icy Hot, I would have,
It wasn't done in the way that we were doing things.
actually like, sweetie, I'm on a budget, baby.
It's not something that you've been seeing on TV. It was honoring talent, black talent, in the way that black talent hadn't been honored before by a black production.
Everything's marvelous, man. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful affair.
Beside the fact of, at this first awards show, seeing all these legendary comedians in tears and actors and actresses when they received their AHA trophy. Some of them were crying. It was tears, laughter, admiration. I can't believe this happened finally. I can't believe I'm being recognized. And to see that adulation, and everybody was coming to me saying, Sir Frank, we don't know how you did it, but we are so grateful that you did this. And that's why I never let it go, because I know that it's a damn good idea. So many actors and actresses that have been ignored. And we, to a certain degree, was the backbone of the entertainment industry here in Hollywood.
It's kind of surprising, you know, that there never has been an award show for comedians, especially since he set the example, you know, but nobody ever picked it up and ran with it. And it's a travesty in the sense that we have had so many great comedians like Richard Pryor, you know, who passed and never were recognized with that kind of an award.
For example, Flip Wilson owned his own show, produced the show, wrote the show, was the star of the show. And it ran for quite a while, one of the most popular shows that was ever on TV. Never got any recognition. When I started the AHAs, the purpose of the AHAs was to recognize these people and give them their just due, as well as build a museum so we could put in that museum some of the artifacts of some of those old shows, because people will forget you. If you don't see things, then you forget it. Well, if you had a museum where people can go and visit some of these things, they'll know these things about A. Flip Wilson. Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory was the first black man that actually ran for presidency of the United States on a serious side, even though he was a comic. He used his comedic talent to do what? To enlighten and enhance the political elements that we're living through right to this damn day. People don't know that. Give you another example. You got, once again, Flip Wilson. Another purpose of the Ahas was to be able to raise enough money to get a star on the Walk of Fame for Flip Wilson, which he does not have. Dick Gregory does not have a star on the Walk of Fame, even though these men contributed greatly to the comedic world. And we paid tribute to people like Richard Pryor, Dick Gregory, Red Fox, Skillet and Leroy, LaWanda Page, Marla Gibbs, Eddie Murphy, Keenan Ivory Wayans, the Arsenio Hall Show. We gave out about 60 awards that night, 50 or 60 that night, but I had 110 trophies, and we gave out about 60 of them. Paul Mooney, who just passed away, was one of our alumni, one of our recipients. Paul got 3 awards. He got one for stand-up comedy, got one for writing, and he got one for acting, because Paul was a hellacious writer. He wrote for everybody, damn near everybody. This particular trophy here belongs to Eddie Murphy. Now, this was 30 years ago. And out of the whole 30 years, Eddie never contacted me. We hadn't been able to get in touch with him to give him this trophy of 30 years ago. And we also have one of the same trophies, just like this, that went to Whoopi Goldberg. And at the time, these were young, hot, up-and-coming black comedians. Now look where they are today. So in a way, we kind of saw their future by giving them their AHA award from all those years ago. So,
You know, the Ahas didn't have enough clout, or it wasn't that well known in the business, and therefore they didn't want to be part of something that was in the shadows, so to speak.
Well, I think it's always difficult to get financial support. And I guess Frank could come out of his pocket only so much. I mean, eventually you need help. You need someone who's willing to support the project and help out financially.
Getting the backing, the financial backing, was very difficult. Getting people to, whatever barriers they had, blocks, getting them to break through those blocks, those barriers, those mental barriers.
I just lost 250 pounds.
People would just change their mind or change their back, or they didn't want to accept the challenge. And there was a lot of challenges involved. People have their own prejudices. Not just whites are prejudiced, but blacks have their own set of prejudices too.
And while people are happy to come and receive a reward or maybe entertain because that's what they do, sometimes it's hard to find people who are willing to say, okay, here's some help.
I would say it was ahead of its time. Mm-hmm. And Frank's goal is to dignify comedy and to elevate it and to bring it into a light of pride, dignity, and respect. And comedy that shows respect for other people, comedy that gives dignity as opposed to degrading people, comedy that you can feel proud of.
There were things happening that made it very promising, but I think it may have been a little ahead of the times because now, right now, people are more sensitive to recognizing minorities than they were so much back then.
And we all love you so much for your guidance, your wisdom, a brother's love, and a family's love forever. I want to say thank you, my big brother.
One time I got in trouble. And it was the worst thing I could have ever done to my family. Before I left for LA, I was married. A week was catching hell because the oil embargo hit, I think, in 1972, and everybody was losing their job, okay? And I used to ride my bike about 20 miles one way to go to work. Well, it got to the point to where is that I still wasn't making enough money because the company wound up going out of business. I didn't have any money, so I started writing checks to take care of the family to a certain degree. And I got in trouble. Now, I wound up going to jail. And I remember my brother coming to the jail to see me. And it was the worst feeling. Even now when I think about it, it kind of breaks me up a little. It really does. My brother came, and when he saw me behind those bars, he looked at me. He didn't have to say anything. He just looked at me. And he said, I never want to ever see you in a situation like this ever again in life. I will never come and see you like this ever again in life. And I knew that hurt my brother. And that was the worst thing that I could have ever done to my family and to my brother, was to be in jail. And I swore to him, I said, you will never see me in jail ever again. What we did, since the AHAs cost so much money and I went broke, I decided to keep the AHA name alive. So I started doing comedy concerts, producing comedy concerts, and I started producing Father's Day shows.
I think the first show that I was at, that I was involved in, and that was very memorable to me because it was a big hit. People were there, and they weren't getting up and leaving because they were bored or anything. They were there engaged and laughing. We had Steve Harvey, Tanya Hart, Jo Marie Payton, Reginald Van Johnson. There was Rudy Ray Moore, who is a legend.
The first gold album from Rudy Ray Moore, and the title was called Eat Out More Often. He gave that to me for creating this award show for Black comedians. Because all the old comedians got together, Dick Gregory, Flip Wilson, Richard Pryor, LaWanda Page, Marla Gibbs. They all got together and threw a dinner in my honor. And at that dinner, he gave this album to me.
And people were enjoying themselves. And they stayed till the end, and everyone was talking about how great it was. They, let us know when you do this again. So it was a lot of, just a lot of respect for what we were doing.
Now we're getting ready for our 30th anniversary, and we are going to be paying tribute to George Wallace. He's going to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. We're going to give an award to Jay Leno. He's going to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award from us. The reason why we're honoring Jay Leno is because Jay Leno was the host of one of the hottest late night shows on TV. And this man did this for 20 years. And out of all the things that Jay have done for the minority comedians by putting on Margaret's show on his show, which enhanced her career, first Korean to have a major TV show in primetime. He put on George Lopez. He put on other minority comedians to further their careers. And this is our way of saying, Jay, what you have done with your legacy, you've enhanced the careers of other minorities. And this is our way of saying, we want to recognize you for what you have done and what you've stood for over the years.
We have, through the magic of Zoom, we can speak to Mr. Jay Leno, who's dressed for the occasion. Jay.
How are you?
Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. There's nothing magic about Zoom at all. It's just television.
Just like the Oscars and the Grammys used to be all white, and every once in a while they would throw in a little black pepper to put a little flavor to it. Well, we're doing the reverse with the black pepper, and we're going to sprinkle in a little salt to add to the recipe for a little spice with us.
When you see this show, I think you'll see it's about diversity. It's about bringing people from different walks of life together.
Jay Leno and George Wallace did this little half an hour documentary about life as a black comedian traveling from different cities throughout America, and it was called The Green Book. Now, this was before the new movie came out with this piano player. And George and Jay, they did this little documentary, and they talked about how tough it was for black comedians to travel to different places because they couldn't just go into any hotel and stay. There were certain hotels that you could stay, certain restaurants that you could go to and eat. And him and George did this little documentary, and it was very educational. And that's why I said that Jay had contributed to a lot toward black history, which, you know, it made us feel good, and we thought that he deserved to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award from the AHAs because they've done so much to enhance the careers of so many black comedians.
You know, I'm trying to figure out how a 71-year-old white guy gets this award, and then I realized it's white privilege. There's no other explanation. In fact, right now, Steve Martin is in Spanish Harlem getting the Puerto Rican of the Year award. I think that's what it has to be.
Once they show up on that show, they can go out there and start demanding more money for their personal appearances. And that's pretty much the way Johnny Carson did it as well. But Johnny Carson used to invite people to come over and sit on the couch. And once he invited you over to the couch, then your career was made. And you can go out the next day and start charging 10 times more than what you were making from the beginning. And Jay was able to do that as well with his show.
Well, I think it's pretty exciting myself, and I think he's very excited about it. And he feels like, you know, it's finally starting to look like it can be something that he really envisioned in the beginning.
I think because of Frank's hard effort and tenacity and his ability to not give up on his dream.
If you want something done, do it your damn self. Stop waiting on other people to come to your rescue.
And he's been able to make contacts over the years. People see not just his enthusiasm, but you know, the timeliness of the AHAs also is important. It's coming to its time. And the attitudes of people have changed too. And people see the value of where the AHAs could go. They could see it now more than they could see it 20 years ago.
These women were the backbone of the AHAs. And when I got ready to do the second AHAs, I had gotten a contract with a TV entity out of England called Hemdale for $1 million. They had literally put the money in the bank. And I was waiting on that 7-day countdown before I could start using that money for the second AHAs. Well, at that particular time, the war in Kuwait broke out, and they put a stop payment on that check, and I lost everything I had, and I literally broke down mentally. And these two women were standing by my side, and they said, "Frank, don't worry, tomorrow is coming."
Yes, it's been a constant passion with him. Over the years, he talks to us about it all the time. He's always doing something to keep it going.
So the second time around, it's going to be bigger.
The great thing about comedians is that we have to keep America laughing, no matter what the situation. Look at the climate we're living in today. We got the storms, we got the fires, we got
Texas,
police brutality, we got everything that's going on, the social ills in the country. Our job is to make people laugh and keep people happy, no matter what. Even going through the pandemic here, I have to keep laughing. For instance, my daughter came by to visit me in Atlanta, and she came by to visit me. I live on the 25th floor because of social distancing. I waved at her ass on the 25th floor. Social distancing, keep your ass moving.
It was good, the dynamic of the energy in the room when you have talents there that supported what you did, like, as I mentioned before, Paul Mooney.
Mr. Paul Mooney. As all of you know by now, he passed away just less than 2 months ago. And for 10 years, We had the privilege to do his publicity. I still get a little choked up when I speak about Paul because so much has happened since his passing. Now everybody want to do a movie. Everybody want to do a documentary. Everybody wants to, Paul, what? He did that. Paul has never changed. Everything about Paul is Paul.
He's a legend that everyone respects. He was respected then, but he's even grown more so now.
One thing I want to say about the Ahas, Paul Mooney and Dick Gregory recognized 30 years ago that Sir Frank Cooper had an organization that he was a director of, a producer, and a financer. What I'm saying is this: he took money to be sure that comedians that were ignored received recognition. Thank you. Yeah, give it up. He never, ever intended to let the entertainment business not realize year after year after year that Black people got it. Whether they want to accept it or not, Black people are talented. And it's his mission, not only 30 years ago, but up until this present day. Sir Frank Cooper will continue to make sure that Black comedians everywhere that go unnoticed will be recognized.
And then you see how Rudy Ray Moore, who gave his gold record to Frank there at the award show. But yet how his story now was told on a series and being portrayed by Eddie Murphy. It gives dignity to what we did then. And we want to make the Ahas to be something that will school and tool Black talent, and not just Black talent, but minorities, and even those that are not minorities, to a greater level, to greatness. And if the Ahas can be instrumental in some aspect of that, it served its purpose, and that's a great feeling.
And see, this is something that the public don't realize. The strength of a father, the leadership of a father in a Black family is extremely important. And that is why I created the Father's Day tribute, because Black men get no respect from the public about what they have done for their Black families. And this was my way of saying, I wasn't there for mine, but you were there for me. But I said, you have made me want to pay tribute to all these Black men that have gone out there and busted their butts to make sure their families are together and to keep their kids out of jail and all this other shit. And I want to pay tribute to these Black men who have done that. So we started that award show, and what we would do is we would honor 15 fathers every year. We would honor 10 regular fathers, bus drivers, school teachers, policemen, firemen, janitors, you name it, we'd name 10 of those. And then we would honor 5 celebrity fathers, people such as sports figures, business owners, things like that. And we did that. I kept doing that until I kind of went broke with that, because I could never get a sponsor. No matter how good these ideas are, I could never still get a sponsor. But I always did it out of my own pocket. And because I'm one of those, I believe, you can't wait on people to do things for you. If you're not willing to take that first step, how in the hell can you convince somebody else to step for you? No, you got to take the initiative. And here it is, 30 years later, we're about to do the 30th anniversary. The idea hasn't died. And sooner or later, somebody's going to come along and sponsor us. I do believe that before I die. I really believe that.
It makes me feel fantastic. It's a very rewarding feeling to see what you had on paper come to fruition, and people are happy about it. They are enjoying themselves. That's rewarding. Very proud.
It's important because acting, being a comedian, anything in the public life, there are people that made major sacrifices to get from point A to point B. Case in point, Jamie Foxx. Case in point, Eddie Griffin. Case in point, Chris Tucker. Case in point, Mark Curry. At one time, 4 of us lived in the same damn building right here in LA when they were making it starting out. I know what these brothers went through. I know the miles they put on their cars to go from city to city to make the money that they were making. Some of these guys were making damn good money, okay? But we lived in the same building. I was the first one in that brand new building off of Wilshire Boulevard, Gramercy Place, 1600, I think it was. So I've seen that struggle. So when you do what you do and you become good at it, Jamie Foxx award winner, all right? Look at where he came from, Tyler, Texas. Chris Tucker, $20 million a year with Jackie Chan. Came from where? Atlanta, Georgia, okay? When you come from some background like that and you make it to where you are, you want to be recognized for what you did to get you there. And the reason I don't mind telling people about my being gigolo is because at least I wasn't selling drugs. I was selling pleasure, but I wasn't selling drugs. You get made love to, you've been taken out, you've had a damn good time, you got a hell of a memory right here, and it's not induced by drugs. And that's why I don't mind telling people that. Yes, I did that. Would I do it again? To accomplish what I've accomplished, and to have helped my family the way I have, and to be admired by most of my family members, not all of them, but most of them, it's a feeling that's just unbelievable. And that's why it's so important.
I just want to say thank you. And again, this is look up some of those comics. Frank's got the list of all these comics, as I said, like Irwin C. Watson and, well, Scoy Mitchell is pretty fan, but there's a whole bunch of them. And you find their clips where they appeared on Steve Allen or Ed Sullivan or whatever, maybe 1 or 2 times only. But boy, they were really funny. And for whatever reason, they didn't get the break. And I don't like to think it's because they were black, but it probably was because they were too good not to use. So that had to be the reason. So I thank Frank for bringing this to the forefront and showing people these performers from the past that maybe didn't quite get as famous and have as much, get to be as big as Tori, so that's what I'm saying.
Thanks, Jay.
God bless you.
Thanks, man.
All I want people to do is to come out, recognize us for what it is that we've done, the people that we've honored. That book that I showed you with all those legendary comedians, look up some of those names and you'll see that they were some of the first in their fields. Dutone Records, the first black record company. Lil Comber, first black agent in LA. We honored all those people, okay? Debbie Allen, when we gave her, we had to go to the set to give her award. When we gave Arsenio Hall his award, I had to go to his set, okay, because he couldn't come down for whatever the reason. Keenen Ivory Wayans, one of the hottest shows on TV in living color. We honored him. Arsenio Hall had the baddest and the best and created so many avenues for so many rappers and hip hoppers to come on his stage and become stars overnight. We honored this man. Even though we honored them at the award show, I still had to get in my car and go and take them the award. And some of them still don't have them. Like I say, love him to death, Eddie Murphy. Whoopi Goldberg, love her to death, would love to be able to come on The View and say, Whoopi, 30 years ago, we recognized your talent 30 years ago, and we gave you this, but nobody contacted us for you to come and get it. I'd love to be able to do that. And once we be able to do that, I think I'll be came full circle. Just only got 2 left. Eddie Murphy, Whoopi Goldberg, we need you to, we want to come and give you your award.
I want to thank God for my, oh shit. Listen to me.
Let him know we got some Gorilla Glue.
Everybody got some flex on.
George, we can fix it. We got Gorilla Glue. Just don't put it on your hair.
Don't mention Gorilla on a black show. Let's go right here. Okay, see, this man. Thank God, thank you, and everybody. Frank Cooper. I haven't met him yet, but God bless Mr. Cooper. As Jay Leno was saying for this AHA one, and I tell you, nobody can do it better than us. Just showing some love for us, our own people.
Yes.
I think it's just great, even though let me tell you what's funny. If it's black, you know it's gonna be funny. We got to laugh at everything, no matter what it is. They sent this award to me. Listen up, everybody. They sent this award to me in a damn shoebox, a Conho shoebox. Can you believe that? Can you see the shoebox?
No, we can't. No, we can't. We can't see it, George.
This is good. This is good. This is better than if we could see it. It's good, God.
It's not funny. They sent it to me in a shoebox. I don't know why you can't see
Thank
it.
you, George. Oh my God.
Black people gonna make you laugh no matter what. They sent it to me in a shoebox, and it broke. They got written all over the box. Do not drop it.
Time goes on. People pass off the scene. Maybe they don't die, but they just stop entertaining, and then new people come in. So as the cycle goes, there's going to be new entertainment that needs that recognition, that little boost. And the AHAs might be just what they need to help them get recognition by some production or a company or someone that wants to promote them even further.
So I'm hoping that the second time around is going to lead to a third, fourth, and forever. Just, like I said, because they have all the other ones, the Oscars, yada, yada, you name it, they got it, rap. So, I mean, they do, comedians do a lot, to make us laugh. We need to laugh with everything that's going on in this world today, particularly the United States. We could use some laughter.
If you properly entertain people, they'll talk about it. They'll talk about it forever, because they'll never forget it.
It feels not that you're on a pedestal, but it feels as though you've come from, as in my case, you came from the cotton fields. You came from the segregation of black and white water fountains, because I lived it. You went through all those struggles. And once you get to the point where you've created something that came from here and came from here, and you put your all in it, even if my show does not become successful financially this time around, here, I can actually die saying that I brought some joy and life, dignity and pride to my people as black people, to make the world recognize that we recognize you for what you've accomplished. And that's the feeling. It's just an unbelievable accomplishment that I've done. And most people, once they make it big or whatever, they feel the same damn way. I will tell you, Jay told me something that I'll never forget, and I've heard other people say it, but to hear it coming from him. He said, Frank, for what you have done and what you've created, you don't realize what you've created. He said, and you may not even ever realize it. He said, but you took a seed, something that was growing in here. You watered it, you nurtured it, and you got it 30 years later to where it is now. And whether you make money or not, don't you find satisfaction in that? And I said, yeah, and I do.